we supposed to go?
Back to where you began. The Caucasus Mountains. Build something better there.
Daddy, I don't want to go to the Caucasus Mountains. I want to stay here.
You are ordered to evacuate peacefully. The mountains await your rebuilding.
This is a troglodyte we're dealing with.
James, they said we gotta leave tonight. They're taking us to the mountains. Tell them we're family.
James, they said we gotta leave tonight. They're taking us to the mountains. Tell them we're family.
I don't want to go to the Caucasus Mountains. I want to stay here.
All Caucasoid partners report to processing.
Caucasoid partners report to processing. Repeating. All
She's my family.
Partners.
You can't decide who I love. Move them now.
You leave tonight to the Caucasus.
Every American citizen of European descent will be relocated.
They can't really do this, can they?
For the sake of this nation, they will go. And they will endure.
They're sending us to freeze.
Then we don't freeze. We survive.
We never meant no harm.
Then you should have said something when harm was done.
Neanderthal, you wouldn't be having the problem that you having if you had kept your Caucasian ass in the caves of the Caucasus Mountains. Caveman, there's a serious flaw in your logic. See, the Caucasus Mountain caveman didn't have to build a home. He just climbed the mountain till he found the hole in the side of it and crawled in it. See, the Caucasus Mountain caveman shared his home with grizzly bears, mountain lions, bats, skunks, badgers, billy goats, whatever else could crawl in there with. This Iceman mammoth hunting hit his wife over the head with a club and drag her back home, Neanderthal ass.
All throughout Europe are ancient cave cities where these Neanderthals developed over thousands of years. You see, there was a time when the Neanderthal didn't have the intelligence to create fire. They didn't need it. They were furry, and they could withstand the cold weather. They just huddled in these caves that they made their homes for thousands and thousands of years. This is why the Neanderthal and the Neanderthal spawn had a hard time getting proper vitamin D, and an even harder time surviving in the sunlight. This is where they get the word caveman from. Study. For the more you study, the more options you will have. And the more options definitely means the more power.
Caveman, your logic is seriously flawed. See, Egypt is in Africa. In Africa is the home of the black man. And the Greek is from Greece, the home of the white man. So let me get this straight. What you're saying is that the blue-eyed, blonde-haired, fair-skinned, Caucasian caveman built the pyramids in Africa, in the middle of the desert, in the blaring sun. Your first invention must have been sunscreen SPF 1000. And then for some unexplained reason, y'all painted yourself brown on all the hieroglyphs. Man, take your ass back to the cage with that dumbass shit.
I don't know what that video was about, but anyway, did y'all know that the average European and Asian person has at least 1 to 2% Neanderthal DNA? Yup, you heard me right. National Geographic, the Smithsonian, and Science Magazine all agree that European and Asian descendants that are non-African have 1 to 2% Neanderthal DNA. And furthermore, the only people group that doesn't have any Neanderthal DNA are the descendants of Africans. So why is it that Asians and Europeans have Neanderthal DNA, and the people that have been treated the least humane and even called non-human have the most human DNA? What could they have been doing to get this Neanderthal DNA? Asian and Europeans Europeans have Neanderthal DNA because their ancestors interbred with Neanderthals tens of thousands of years ago. Guess it turns out Fuzzy Wuzzy was a colonizer.
I want y'all to hear this real good. I'm 5'9". If I had a white dude to come up here that's 6'10", my legs will come up to his titty nipples. Black men and women got long legs and short bodies. White men and women got short legs and long bodies. Now, if all of us up here took off our clothes and one white boy took off his clothes, which one you think would have hair all over their body? Huh? So why are you gonna let this cracker convince you that that looks like you? Huh? Now, look at the lips. Them lips is thinner than razor blades. Look at them. Huh? Look at them. But he believe that's you when he know it's him. Huh? And y'all buy it.
The son, I think it's Malachi. I think it's in the verse, chapter 1. For the Lord God is the sun and the shield. Now, it don't look like God do. God is shooting this motherfucker, look like he's shelling his ass. See, no good thing will he withhold from those who walk upright. So obviously the white man is not walking upright. Let me keep moving through this. Okay, y'all worshiping a goddamn holiday where they murdering African babies. Y'all love that shit, fuck that shit. Y'all like it hot. So right here, you seeing what they call Jamaica fire. And people talk about this as hell. That ain't no hell, that's a purification rite. He's being purified. And the one thing is, I got this right, and I didn't even have to make it. When I went up there and looked and seen, I just put in Adam and Eve expelled from the garden. And this one came up where they already had the fucking back there. They show you as the son that they return back. And so they're representing the son as this angel. The angel don't exist. The angel don't exist. Just to fool you that somehow an angel and God is innocent. There's no God. There's no physical angel. There's no physical God. It's the son putting their ass out. And that's their story. So I don't need no nigga to try to clean it up. I don't. That's their story.
Another interesting change began to take place. This change occurred in the area of the Caucasus Mountains. There in West Asia, a previously unknown group of people suddenly appeared, as if from out of nowhere. Collectively, they are known as the Indo-Europeans, Caucasians, or pinkish pale people. The facts show that they first entered the area around 6,000 years ago. 2,000 years later, their invasions would bring them into contact with the civilized nations to the south. Now, see, first when they came out them caves, y'all, they went into ancient Egypt, or Kemet. This is what George M. James talks about in his book, Stolen Legacy. How they were taught by the ancient Kemites, or the Ethiopian people. Caucasians was taught them how to speak a language because they was running at first in the caves. Now we're going to get the way we going to get there. And I know y'all hate it. I know y'all hate it. I know you hate it, but guess what? Bitch, you going to get this work. Okay. 2,000 years later, their invasions would bring them into contact with the civilized nations to the south. But as to where they first came from and how they finally ended up living in West Asia, very little appears to be known because they had no fixed homes and wandered about from place to place. Historians usually describe their way of life as nomadic. In the book A History of the Ancient World, Chester Starr talks about their lack of culture and their uncivilized way of life. Sometimes his scholarship is impeccable. We're talking about the hidden history of the Caucasian race. This shit we've never taught in school, period. But you're going to get that work today. Let's go. As for their language and the uncertainty surrounding their place of origin, Starr said of them, since they were so backward, it is very difficult to use archaeological evidence to help pin down the original home of the Indo-European tongues. No specific pattern of physical culture can be attached to their languages, and they were written only after their speakers came into contact with civilized peoples. With the arrival of the Caucasians into the cold and sparsely populated area of the world, the few older communities which either had been established there in Europe were either abandoned or destroyed. The evidence clearly suggests that the original inhabitants of those settlements either fled or were killed off by the newly arriving whites, aka Caucasians, or pale-skinned people, pinkish pale. Okay, now I want y'all to understand this. In an article appearing in the Journal of Indo-European Studies, Professor Marja Gumbustus talked about the arrival of the pinkish pale people and the subsequent disintegration of what she calls Old Europe. The farms and villages that had existed in Europe before the arrival of the Caucasian, according to Gumbustus, after the Caucasians showed up, drastic changes started to occur in the region north of the Caucasus Mountains, that is, expanding how those changes signaled the arrival of the Caucasians. Gumbustus says a time period around 3500 BC forms a caesura, I don't know if I'm saying that right, y'all, caesura, between Old Europe and Indo-European Europe. It is a time when life in the large villages and townships either stops or is markedly changed. All right. It is at this time, the first half of the 4th millennium BC, that the first eruption into Danubian and northern European plains of the Kurgan or Proto-Indo-European peoples from the lower Volga, lower Don Stupy, is dated. Gambuttus, 1970, the degenerate changes in the settlements of the old European civilization may be assumed to indicate the beginning of the Indo-European presence. Okay? Now you get the time frame in which this is started taking place, the arrival of the Caucasians. But let us continue. Following the breakup of the ancient societies and the arrival of the Caucasian in Europe, the people of the Near East worked to reestablish the level of peace and security that they had once known. Slowly, over time, communities were rebuilt, prosperity was restored, and signs of the new life started to emerge. In Africa, along the banks of the Nile River, Egypt blossomed into the Pyramid Age. In Mesopotamia, between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, the Sumerians too established a civilization renowned for its high level of culture and refinement, even as far away as India. Along the tributaries of the Indus River, the Dravidians constructed the magnificent twin cities of Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa. Where we at? Rich in arts, sciences, and the necessities of life, these civilizations laid the foundations for trade and finance, architecture, geometry, mathematics, and astrology, philosophy, law and government, writing and religion. So we been had shit popping. When they was in the Caucasus Mountains, we was in Egypt running shit. We had all this stuff going on while they was in the caves, eating shit, smelling like shit. I mean, this is documented shit here. Eating their food raw. That's the Neanderthal gene. Only a subhuman would be able to eat animals raw and still survive and have children and families. Anyway, anybody else will have parasites and die. But let us continue. Throughout the period of Reconstruction, not much attention was being paid to the nomads of the North. The threat never seemed significant. From time to time, a few Nordic bands would wander down into the centers of civilization, but their activities never amounted to more than occasional raids or skirmishes. In the course of time, small groups of the pale-skinned pinkish people were able to establish camps along the hills and deserts outside of Mesopotamia. And this is where the bullshit began. Although such camps survived mainly by robbing and scavenging, their overall impact upon civilization remained minimal. Most of the Caucasian pale-skinned people were at that time still beyond range, up in the hills, the Caucasus Mountains. In the book, The Chalice and the Blade, Ryan Eisler, the internationally known scholar, talks about the distant presence of the Caucasians and the low level of concern that their activities invoked. On page 43, Eisler explains, See, here go the scholarship I was telling y'all about. The scholarship of this book is impeccable. At first, it was like the proverbial biblical cloud, no bigger than a man's hand. The activities of seemingly insignificant nomadic bands roaming the less desirable fringe areas of our globe. Over millennia, they were apparently out there in the harsh, unwanted, colder, sparser territories on the edge of the earth, while the first great architectural civilization spread out along the lakes and rivers in the fertile heartlands. To these agricultural peoples, enjoying humanity's early peak of evolution, peace and prosperity must have seemed the blessed eternal state for humankind. The nomads no more than a peripheral novelty. But the Caucasians of the North were not to remain a distant novelty forever. 2,000 years after their arrival, the nomadic tribes began to move, they moved away from what for years had been their home. Yeah, I know y'all hate it, but guess what? Bitch, we gonna keep on reading. We gonna keep going. As they swarmed down out of the hills, some of them began to travel west toward the Aegean Sea. Huh? At the same time, another large group trudged southward in the direction of the centers of civilization. Here they come with their raggedy ass coming to cause technology and chaos. We already read that from the beginning, how they cause disruption. Remember, they cause disruption, y'all. Okay, listen now. The unforeseen mass movement of the Caucasian peakish pale people out of the hills of West Asia has generally been looked upon as a historical mystery. That is why most historians agree with Chester Starr, who in his attempt to explain it, characterized the Caucasians' unexpected awakening this way. Here we go, this is what he had to say now. Listen to that scholarship, it's impeccable. Okay, let us go. For unknown reasons, the group went into a ferment shortly before 2000 BC and started spilling out all over Europe and Western Asia. As they moved southward, they were joined by smaller groups, members of their own who had earlier taken up positions along the hills and cavern routes outside of Mesopotamia. As they advanced toward the centers of civilization, they began a series of violent and devastating attacks. One by one, the great cities of the ancient world began to topple. So complete was the effort of the onslaught that when it was all over, nothing was left standing. Damn, so they came out the caves, fucking up everything. You see, we talking about a two-legged beast. They went and fucked everything up. Now, we're going to continue. Like I said, y'all, one thing about this book, the scholarship is impeccable. And I know y'all racist, low vibrational parasitic ass motherfuckers hate it. But guess what? Bitch, you gonna get this work. In the book, A World History, William Harley McNeill outlined what took place. On page 43, Professor McNeill tells us, during a period of about 300 years, beginning soon after 1700 BC, the civilized world was overrun by barbarian conquerors. Barbarians. Y'all got to remember now, they was in the caves for 2,000 years. Okay? Running around butt naked and shit. Fighting out wild animals. Eating shit, smelling like shit. They didn't take no baths, y'all. Okay? Doing all type of inhumane ass things. See, that's why they only teach you about this damn history. But guess what? Y'all got people like me that's going to give y'all history that you was never taught. So, now we can understand why these motherfuckers could go all over the planet killing innocent indigenous people for no reason. We about to find out why they been doing this shit. Why they go to sleep good at night after murdering people. No guilty conscience. String your ass up in the tree and then go eat some apple pie. See what I'm saying? We got to understand the nature of a two-legged beast. And guess what? This Caucasian Paul Guthrie is giving it to you raw. And I know y'all motherfuckers hate it. And guess what? Bitch, I don't care. Okay, let's keep going. Hill peoples living north and east of Mesopotamia. Tribesmen from the desert fringes of Syria, Palestine, and northern Arabia, together with wide-ranging war bands originating from the northern steppe combined in varying proportions to attack all existing centers of civilized life. Damn. The range of these barbarian conquests was never again equal. At the two extremes of the civilized world, in Crete and in India, Little but smoking ruins remained. God damn. We talking about a motherfucker two-legged beast. Nah. So the facts show that after the construction of the civilization, the Caucasiod, pale-skinned, pinkish people came out of the hills and destroyed it all. See, I ain't gonna say whites because they didn't brainwash people and program people that white is pure, black is evil. So I ain't even finna give these white supremacists the glory. Bitch, you wanna be called white on this page? You won't. I'm not playing into nobody else's game. I'm gonna call it what it is. Pale-skinned, pinkish people. Okay? The Caucasians, we just keep it like that, Caucasian. Okay? The Caucasians came out of the hills and destroyed it all. The devastation that rocked the ancient world across the board. It was for this reason that if we look at the early history of civilization, we find that all the centers of civilization throughout the Near East, Africa, Mesopotamia, and India underwent a severe fall at about the same period of time. Ain't that some shit? Listen, every historian agrees that the uprooting of those civilizations were the result of attacks from pinkish, pale-skinned Caucasian barbarians who came rushing down out of the hills of West Asia. You know what, y'all? I'm going to do a part 2 to this video. We're going to pick up from this part because I don't want to give y'all too much because some of y'all motherfuckers going to go in shock because I'm revealing y'all history. And some of y'all going to be grateful that, hey, you're going to understand the nature in which our ancestors were when they were going around killing people. And I know the indigenous aboriginal people are going to appreciate this because you'll finally be able to understand why certain groups of people have acted like they have throughout history and why you were mistreated.